I am doing a horseshoe sectioning for my section for my volume Weft install. With a hairspray, and this is going to help get rid of her baby hairs that are sticking up. And I'm going to go through with a fine tooth comb and push those guys around. I like to cut them down in half. Makes it easier for me to like fit the head shape. And then I skim across. And then we're going to take my thumb. I'm going to use that for my size reference for the hair. Make sure there's no crosshairs in there. I'm going to take the hoop and we're going to go right up to her scalp so it gets in all the baby hairs too. And then pull through. And then we want to make sure we have low elevation of her cylinder. So I'm going to hold the cylinder in my pliers and I'm going to make sure it's nice and flat and not creating a ton of tension because that'll be uncomfortable. And then it will also pull at the hair and then create tension that will pull hair and be super uncomfortable and create damage. Each section is the size of my thumb from side to side, and I'm skimming and I'm wanting a rectangle. So essentially the size of 2 cylinders side to side, checking under and top of each section to make sure there's no crosshairs. I'm really taking my loop, placing it up high so it grabs any little bit of those baby hairs and pulls it nice and through. We're wanting to make sure there is 0 elevation as we're working. So making sure my pliers are flush against her head as much as they possibly can be. Placing the weft on her head, I'm having her hold the weft on the edges so I can pin the weft down into place. When you don't have your client help you, it can be extra tricky. So don't be shy. Ask them to help you out and just hold it, and this will make sure you get it nice and secure, making sure the top of the weft is flush with the top of your cylinders. You don't want that weft to come all the way up to where your parting is. You want it to be dropped down just below it. I'm placing the clips below. Sometimes you'll see stylists place these clips vertically. I like to place them below so as I'm doing my stitch I can see. And now I am threading my needle. It's 3 arm lengths, 3 wraps around my finger, pull through, tie on top, and cut the excess off. Right here is my starting. I'm going to start back on my second cylinder. We're going to put my needle in and it's going to go through the thread. So I made a loop with my thread. I have a double, I don't have a single. And we're going to pull it through. And I'm going to hold my hand right here to keep it nice and organized because it can get a little squirrely. And we're going to make sure everything we do, we pull up. So we're going to go open blanket, left side, come through, guide it in. And then right here at the edge, we're gonna do 3 open blankets. So we're gonna go 1, and we're gonna do them right next to each other. You do not wanna do them on top of each other. You wanna do these right next to each other, keeping everything in an upward motion. So that's 1, 2, and then 1 more, 3. And then that is the hard part. After we do the edge, we're gonna do close blanket, which is my cruising stitch. So now we're gonna go to the left side of the cylinder and we're doing a closed blanket and coming through. And we're gonna do closed blanket all the way through. And this stitch is so fast. And once I get this going, it's just like easy peasy lemon squeezy. Making sure you're getting enough hair in there that when she comes in to do her move up and I do the shed removal, that there's still enough hair there. That's super important. And I'm using my left hand to help guide that needle through. Left side, right side, close blanket. And then this weft is dropping too much here in the back. So I'm just gonna grab these clips and just readjust it. Always adjusting your weft and making sure it's nice and up, and see how it's not above or on the part. It's right where the cylinders are placed. And I'm just using my legs to turn the chair so I can make sure I can get this adjusted all the way around properly and sitting where it should before I start again. Important to keep it up, so when you're stitching, it stays up for you. And this guy just wants to drop on me right now, so we're just gonna go all the way around and reclip it. There we go. That's better. And as you can see, I'm going from the left to the right side close blanket, and I'm keeping all my thread on the top of the weft, pulling everything in an upward motion, making sure that weft isn't dropping, adjusting the clips where they need to be adjusted, and keeping an eye on it all time, and making sure everything feels good on her head. I ask her a lot. And then we're gonna do 3 clothes blankets to tie off her edge, and then we're gonna go back. We're gonna go one, and make sure they're right next to each other and not on top of each other. 2, and then one more, 3. This is really going to secure her edge and prevent it as much as we can from flapping, because that's the issue that we get with edges, or that comes untied. Make sure it's nice and secure. Then I'm going to back stitch. We're going to come straight down, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our string 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to pull this needle through. And keep pulling and keep pulling and keep pulling and keep pulling and pulling. I feel like whenever I stop with this motion, then it gets stuck. All right, so see how we have like this string like this? You just got to pull at it and finesse it. I'm going to stick my needle up here so I can kind of finesse. See what's going on. There we go. We're going to cut off, and then to finish it, we're going to do in 3s again. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then I know with some stylists, they all have their different ways of doing this. This comes untied very often, especially when you're using nylon. So I take a cylinder, I slide it up and over, and I also let my clients know that this cylinder that they feel right here is totally normal. Jeez, I'm dropping everything everywhere. Alright, so we're going to clamp this right on top and then flat, so it's not flapping out. 2, 3, and we're going to cut it. I have these extra cylinders because sometimes I put more on depending on how it measures. I'm just going to go on each side of it and pull it out. And then I'll show you guys up that these are the cylinders, and you can double check them when you're first starting out, and you can look to see that each. And now this is the side view you guys can see of that weft. And now let's show you under the hood of the clean install. And look at that blend. It's blending, 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 24 inches.